Hi, this is JP Morgan from The Slanted Lens. Today we start a new segment called DIY Equipment. Lars Lindstrom, our DP and cameraman, is going to share with us very simple things we can build on set that'll make it easy for us to get the shots we want and affordable at the same time. You know, we've showed you how to do special effects in the past. We're now going to show you how to make equipment. This is our first one. It's a little shoulder rig. You know, when Lars showed up with this on set, I'm going, really? But you know what? It's very effective. For under 10 bucks, you can make a rig, you can adjust, and you can use it on set. It's actually very smooth. So let's see how he makes it and how he uses it.
Hi everybody, my name is Lars Lindstrom, and on today's blog I'm going to be showing you how to build a shoulder rig for your DSLR camera. Right now in the video world, everybody's using these fun little DSLR cameras. They got big sensors, which means you got a really shallow depth of field. But one of their limitations is something called a rolling shutter. Basically what that means is if you don't have it stable, you're going to get this jello effect on a lot of your people. Here, let me show you. May, let me borrow this camera for a second. Okay, ready? See that? It's a little bit wobbly and jello-y, right? I'm hoping. I can't see it, but I'm hoping. Okay, good. All right, so the problem with that is nobody wants to look like jello. So we have these shoulder rigs, and they can be a little bit pricey. So I've developed this here shoulder rig. It cost me a little under $10 from parts at Home Depot, and it should be a lot of fun to build. Here we go. All right, so to get started, let's go ahead and go over some of the things we're gonna need. As you can see here, I've got just a standard 2-foot piece of PVC pipe. This is all 1 inch that we're dealing with here. I've got a saw, and I have 3 of these conduit 1 inch 90-degree corner pieces. Next, we have a standard PVC tee. Next, down here, we have a 1/4 inch 20 wing nut. You're gonna need to buy at least 3 1/4 inch 20 hex nuts. Then lastly, you will need a 2.5 inch 1/4 20 machine screw. Great. Okay, now we're ready to get started. And what's going to happen here is we're going to take our wing nut and thread it into our 1/4 inch 20 screw. So let's go all the way down. And let's take one of our nuts and lock it into place. The cool thing about locking 2 of these things into place is that this allows us to be able to move this back and forth, kind of tighten, loosen, and it's not really going to go anywhere. Kind of locks it in. It's nice. So we're going to drill a hole right in the center of this for this guy to come through. All right? So let's go ahead and get going. Make sure it's nice and straight.
Now make sure you're not dumb like me and get something you can drill into when the bit comes through the other side.
Okay, and coming through the other side. Perfect, so if you take a look, we are perfectly center on the back side as well as the front side, which is great. So now what we're going to be able to do is push this through on both sides and see how it comes through, and we can spin it around. That's going to lock our camera into place. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do we get this to stay? Because the most frustrating thing about some of this do-it-yourself is that this is just going to be loose. But we found out a cool way to make it so that doesn't happen. We learned with the wing nut that if we have 2 on top of each other, it locks it into place. Well, the same is true with 2 of these hex nuts. So what we're going to do is pretty much this configuration inside the PVC tee. We're looking inside the tee. We got to push this through. This is going to be the tricky part, all right? You actually have to put your finger in and then put this on when it's halfway through. So let me show you here a little bit. Just kind of twist it on with my finger resting on it. So now that it's on, kind of screw this through. Can you see that all right, May? Yep. Now let's get the second one and do the exact same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and screw it all the way in and start to push through the other side. All right, we'll come down with the other guy as well. And basically what you're gonna wanna do is go all the way down so that when you come back, it doesn't pull out. See that? So we'll come right about to where it's flush on the bottom. Right there. I think it's looking pretty good. Yeah. And then we'll just screw the other one down so that it tightens on it as well. See that? That's not going to go anywhere. And if it does start to creep, you can just put a little bit of hot glue around the edges so that it won't go anywhere. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take our 2-foot PVC, 10 inches happens to be right about here. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting here. Well, there's one way of doing that. Now we've got our 10-inch piece of PVC. Let's go ahead and connect everything so we can get shooting here. Your 10-inch PVC goes right on the end of the T, like that. And then you pretty much just connect this piece. It's going to go into this piece here, and then you're going to get these corners, and just like that. And essentially we're done. I mean, that's pretty much everything. But let's go ahead and mount our camera so we can see what we got going on here. So it's really, because we have this hex nut again, we just put the camera here, screw it in, tighten it down, and that's it. I mean, you are ready to go. Now, here's a couple of tips and tricks on this shoulder rig. I've been using it for a little over a year now, and here's just a couple of things that I found to be helpful. I hold the right side right down here at the base, but I like to put the crease of my elbow here so I can pull focus, or if I've got a longer lens on, I actually just put my arm right in here in the crease of the conduit so that I can pull focus and zoom in and out when I've got a bigger lens on. Also, another cool thing is most of the time you can just put this down on the ground and it's just fine. If you have a little bit of a heavier lens, it starts to get a little top heavy. But what's great about this is it's so flexible. All you have to do is twist your conduit down here at the bottom, and it just creates a nice angle and your camera can sit safely. The only thing about this that we don't like is the way it looks. It's just kind of a little bit ugly. You've got some gray with some writing here. You've got some, what is this, 450 PSI. Nobody wants to see that, especially when you're trying to shoot a professional gig. So what I've done is I actually bought some inexpensive electrical tape, and I took a little bit of time to wrap this. Electrical tape is great because it can stretch a little bit, so you can wrap it nice and tightly, and it just looks a lot better than this gray and white conduit and PVC. So let's go ahead and wrap it up and see how it looks.
Make sure that when you wrap the two handles, you leave a little bit exposed on the end that goes into the PVC T so that it will still fit.
Okay, so we're going to wrap the end piece completely in electrical tape. We're just going to leave a little bit of a gap here so that it'll slide in nicely. Do the exact same thing we're doing over here. So we're going to go ahead and start right about here. You'll see what I'm saying. And then we're going to wrap and leave a little bit of a lip here at the end. Start right there. So that should slide in perfectly, and it does. That's fantastic news. All right, now we just got this last one to wrap. Let's go ahead and wrap it all in electrical tape, and then we'll be done.
When wrapped properly, the electrical tape will actually prevent your pipes from coming apart while shooting.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and put the last piece on here. And there we have a sexy looking shoulder rig. And all in all, I think the parts cost me just a little under $10 for this guy. So it sure beats paying over $1,000 for some of these big boys. But yeah, it's a fun little shoulder rig. Let's go ahead and show you some test footage. There you have it. We're ready to shoot.
So there's our first episode of DIY Equipment, how to build a shoulder rig, or Lars cam, as we like to call it. You know, if you've got the time and you can go to the hardware store and get your parts, it's under 10 bucks. But if you don't have that time, go to theslantedlens.com, and there you can get the entire kit for $25, all pre-drilled and assembled. All you have to do is wrap it with tape and you're ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of DIY Equipment.